The following podcast is brought to you by Iconic Nation Media.
Welcome to The Winning Edge, the podcast where champions are built and legacies are made. I'm Leonard Wheeler, former NFL player turned entrepreneur of 24 years and co-executive director of the NFL Legends community. After years of being on the field, I've learned that the real game starts when the stadium lights go out. This show is your all-access pass to the mindset, strategies, and leadership lessons that fuel success beyond sports. Each week, we will dive into what it truly takes to win in business, leadership, and life. We'll discuss how elite athletes, game-changing entrepreneurs, and industry leaders turn discipline into dominance and setbacks into comebacks. The next play is yours. Have you ever been in the right place, but at the wrong time? Perhaps the opportunity presented itself, but the doors didn't quite open. Maybe you said the right thing, but said it too soon. Maybe you were ready to move, but the season wasn't ready for you. How many times have you did that in a relationship to where you're like, I'm going to say it tonight, but it's the wrong time? And that is called discernment, by the way, but we're going to get into that. That's when you learn something powerful. Success isn't just about skill. Leadership isn't just about vision. Faith isn't just about belief. It's about timing. So welcome to the Winning Edge podcast. I'm Leonard Wheeler, and today I want to talk about something we rarely stop and think about. Timing. Divine rhythm. Because your life, your purpose, your potential all move to a beat. And if you can hear the rhythm, you can align with it. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, for everything there's a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. When I played the game of football, I realized that timing isn't a luxury. It's life or death for the play. You can have the perfect game plan, the perfect call, the perfect effort, but if your timing's off, everything collapses. Everything will collapse. Great quarterbacks know it. They know that they don't throw to the receiver, they throw to the moment. They anticipate what a receiver will be, not where he is at the particular time, but where he's going to be, and they trust the rhythm, the route, and the relationship. That's why the preseason is so vitally important, because it continues to help create the cadence for timing. I believe that that's leadership as well. You can't just throw ideas out and hope they land. You have to sense the moment. You have to lead people where their hearts are open, not just where their calendars are clear. Timing isn't about speed. It's about synchronization. So earlier today, I was listening to Dr. T.D. Jakes, and he was talking about the weeds and the wheat. He said, God allows both to grow together, because if you pull up the weeds too early, you'll damage the wheat. And here's the truth. The wheat is a blessing, but the weeds sharpen you. What? The wheat is the blessing. The wheat is the end result, but the weeds are what sharpen us. And I think so many times today, we don't want to go through the sharpening. We want to go to the wheat. And we know that ultimately the wheat, you can turn it into bread and eat it. But you also have to understand that before it becomes the wheat and the bread, it must first be a seed that you plant. And understanding that the seed goes down first before it comes up. So now we have to be patient in the season of reaping the harvest of the wheat. Because you need both. The blessing matures you, but the challenge refines you. The wheat gives you gratitude, and the wheat gives you gratitude, but the weed gives you grit. Oh, when you work for something, don't you agree that the result of what you work for allows the reaping to be even that much better? That's life, that's leadership, and that's called timing. So let's talk about when timing becomes life or death. Last year, I went to the doctor, not just because I felt bad, but because I had my yearly physical. No symptoms, no pain, just an inner nudge to go to the doctor. That visit changed everything. That's when I learned I had prostate cancer. I had prostate cancer. I couldn't even say the word cancer because it was such a shock to me. Now, here's the thing. If I had waited a few months, things could have looked very different. But because I listened, because I moved in rhythm, that nudge, the timing was perfect. We caught it early, we treated it, and I'm here today to tell you about it. That's called divine timing. Do you understand how timing becomes essential to success? It becomes essential to your season. That wasn't coincidence. That wasn't luck. That was God ordering steps, because God is about timing. He's about timing. Psalms 37:23 says, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. That doctor's appointment wasn't just medical. It was miraculous. God had already aligned the right door, the right technology, and the right moment, because it was about timing. Sometimes timing doesn't just give or save opportunities, it saves lives, and it saved mine. I look back now and I realize something deeper. God will whisper, go now, long before you understand why. And when you respond to that whisper, miracles begin to move and happen. That season taught me that timing is God's way of saying, I'm still guiding your story. Oh, come on, let's go. You have to, come on, give me some praise. Give me a hallelujah right now. Even when you can't see the pattern, God says, trust my pulse. I'm still guiding your story. And even when you can't see the pattern, trust my pulse. In leadership, timing determines traction. You can have a vision, but if you release it before the team is ready, it can die in the soil of misunderstanding. Listen, I've had visions before. I've had visions for businesses, but the timing was off. I've started businesses, but the timing was off. It was maybe too early, or it was maybe too late. So if you move too early and people can't see what you see, then maybe it's not the right timing. If you move too late and the opportunity passes you by, it's not the right timing. That's why emotional intelligence is so tied to timing, because it's easy for us to become so emotional. And I believe that this needs to happen right now, or it's never going to happen. That's emotion. That's not discernment. It's the ability to read not just the moment, but the momentum. When I coach executives, I often ask, do you sense opportunity or readiness? Because opportunity without readiness will always create resistance. I just did a speaking engagement yesterday with a great company that I love working with. And I asked them in the room, how many of you are resistant in your life right now? They raised their hand. How many of you are being resistant in something right now? They raised their hand. I said, how many of you know what you're being resistant to? They also raised their hand. Look at Apple. They didn't invent the MP3 player. Remember the MP3 player? But they released the iPod when the world was ready for it, when the world was ready to put something in their pockets. They moved when the culture was hungry for portability and simplicity. That wasn't chance. That was discernment meeting readiness. That's why we go to practice in sports. Because if we don't practice, then we're not going to be ready when the time is right. Preparation builds capacity. Timing activates destiny. That is why you put in the hours that people can't see. When I'm getting up at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m, it's not to brag. It's not to say that I'm doing this. It's to build practice. It's to build repetition. It's to build capacity so that my timing activates my destiny. That is what it's all about. There's never been a shortage in harvest, only a shortage of timed workers. Come on, you know the scripture. It says the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. People who recognize when it's time to reap, when it's time to rest, and when it's time to plant again. Because even though you reap something, you have to replant something. Just like the wheat, when it is being planted, it has to replant something. You have to replant a different season. Right now, it's cold outside. It's going into wintertime. It's not time to go out and really plant, right? There's a season for that. So here's a thought. Maybe what you're calling frustration is really misalignment. You're trying to harvest in a planting season, or you're still waiting when God already said, go. Leadership is rhythm, and timing and divine timing is what turns rhythm into results. Another thing that Pastor T.D. Jakes said that I'll never forget, he said, don't be too quick to separate the weeds from the wheat, because God uses both to grow you. Man, don't be in a rush to separate the weeds from the wheat, because God uses both of them to grow you. That truth became real during my health battle, because while I was facing uncertainty and fear in medical decisions, I was also surrounded by peace, faith, and family. Both were growing side by side, faith and fear, pain and purpose, weeds and wheat. And God said, let them grow together for a while, because if you uproot the struggle too early, you might pull out your strength too. Maturity isn't knowing what to do. It's knowing when to do it. Sometimes timing looks like action. Other time it looks like restraint. Sometimes it's knowing when to speak. And sometimes it's knowing when to stay silent. Or in other words, shut up, stop talking. You have to know when to step in and when to step back. That's divine rhythm. And if you listen closely enough, God will let you feel when it's right, when it's in the right spirit. The weeds don't mean you're off track. They mean you're being trained up. The weeds sharpen your character so that when your wheat and your blessing arrives, you can handle it with the right level of humility. Man, these are strong words. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to me first. Because if the harvest came before the pruning, I believe we would blow it. If the harvest came before we were ready for it, I believe we would blow it. If you look at people that win the lottery, 80 to 85% go broke in 5 years. It's not because maybe the emotion of it, maybe they didn't have a plan around it, maybe they didn't have a strategy, maybe they didn't ask the right questions, maybe it was the wrong timing and they weren't ready for the blessing. Let's talk about the closing. Timing is leadership's quiet superpower. It's the invisible thread that connects preparation, purpose, and peace. When you move with divine rhythm, you stop chasing success and start flowing in grace. You start to pay attention to the things that align with your standards, your principles. You stop allowing people to dictate how you move. I'm not saying that you stop working with people. Don't take that the wrong way. I'm saying to pay attention to the rhythm around you. What doors are opening? What whispers are you ignoring? What weeds are actually sharpening you? Are you being resistant right now? What are you being resistant to? Or what are you being resistant towards? Or who are you resisting? Don't rush what's ripening. Don't resent what's refining. And don't resist what's revealing your character. Because in football and leadership, in faith and ministry, it's no coincidence. It's not luck. It's all about timing. And let me tell you, God's timing is always right on time. I'm Leonard Wheeler, and this is The Winning Edge. Stay sharp, stay steady, and stay in rhythm.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to this week's episode of The Winning Edge. You can write in and ask your questions on my Instagram page at LeonardWheeler7, and I will address your questions on an upcoming episode. If this episode helped you, I would love for you to share it with your friends, colleagues, and family. Share the episode with those that you feel can benefit from it. You can also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, X, and LinkedIn, found in the show notes. I would greatly appreciate it if you would rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe now and let's build your legacy.